Yes, people, welcome back to episode 33 of the Catabolic Window podcast. So we're going to have a couple of questions this week. We've got a few smallish topics, but I think biggest development is Jack has a new office. What's going on there, bro? Where's all your creams and stuff?
I ate the room. So now I live in this white void. I also ate part of the wall. See that?
That looks delicious, man. What does paint
I
taste
am currently back home with the people that created me, birth givers, for the time being. So this is my childhood room. So I'm going to do it up a little bit, and I'm going to refix the wall, and I'm going to get rid of this Velcro here, and this is going to be the Team Archer space for the next few months. And then the plan is wait for Chloe to land a job so we know where we're going to be, and then go there, buy a place, and live there. And until then, until we don't know where we are, I am here.
Did somebody say room tour?
You want a room tour right now?
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I was going to say. Shit.
What was the Velcro used for?
Sex swing.
Yeah, that's cooler than what it was. That's cooler than what it's actually used for. So there's a projector over there, right? And my computer's over here, and over there is a giant projector screen. And I had a cable and I ran it the length of the room, and I had to tie it to the wall. And that's what that
projects onto the wall.
Yeah, so it was like a 50-meter cable or something fucking silly. My room isn't 50 meters long, but I just bought one that was massive. It went right the way around, and then it went right the way around, and then I projected and watched TV on it.
Just TV, yeah. Nothing else.
Yeah, just TV.
What
just
are you
TV.
implying, Luke?
Yeah, say it with chest. Say it with chest.
Fucking.
I was just going off Dan's sex swing. I'm not even going to try.
I think that's
It
for the
wasn't
best,
meant to be. It was not meant to be.
Yeah, bro. Not ideal. Not ideal. Is there anything else to update us on for this week then, Jack?
No. If nothing comes to mind, I'm just going to say no. I'm sure there is. It's slipping my mind, but right now, no. I've been driving all day. I've been driving 5 hours, so I'm a bit out of it. So I'll just say no and let you guys get on.
Yeah, that's hectic. Go on then, Dan. You've got 5 minutes. Give us your week.
Oh man, I've got buckets of time. Right, where do I start? I'm on a 10-day split now because man needed more rest days, and I've actually now done like a full rotation, like full 10 days. And I was training like a pussy for a while, I can't lie. And I've decided I'm now just gonna get my girlfriend to spot me no matter what, just because you know when you got a spot there, and when sometimes you just bottle it when there could be another rep and you just need a spot there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Essentially I need that because I've been training kind of like a pussy for a little bit, or just not as well as I could have. So yeah, that's going down. Still working. I had a food increase for the first time in ages. Well, first time since back from holiday.
Yay.
Yeah, man's trying to get bigger. I took some. Oh my god, boys! I took like the first physique shots in I don't know, good few weeks, like post workout. It was after legs, so it's not gonna be flat.
Someone say rate my physique,
bro. I'm so depressed. I'm convinced I look better at 86 kilos last gaining phase. I swear to God. It's so depressing. So I'm just not posting my rig on the Instagram until I've finished a cut, which is going to be like 3 months. What else have I done? I'd say that's about it. My car's a bit fucked, but it's been fucked for ages. So we're vibing there. I've got a gym session with Luke, Tom, Keno, and Ben tomorrow. Sorry, Luke, I've stolen that out of your update. And got a weekend to myself because he's at a festival. So, bosh, happy days.
He's a bachelor. That's what I'm hearing.
Whoa, don't let Izzy hear you say that, mate.
literally in her gaff.
Huh?
He's literally in her gaff, Jack.
Yeah.
Shag
Fuck
pack,
off,
mate.
dogs. Yeah,
Shag
the
pack.
dogs are trying to molest me for food.
Can we get a dog tour? What are they saying?
Dog tour.
Right, here you go.
sounds
This one's called Boss. This one's Boss.
Oh, fuck yeah.
He's a bit blind and deaf, and his back legs don't work too well. And he wouldn't eat his tablets today, the prick. And this one's Orla.
What's he got?
Who's like a puppy. And she's actually well cute, to be fair. And they've got a really fucking annoying cat as well. But I hope Izzy doesn't watch this podcast because she'll be fuming. I've said that. She loves that cat to death.
Bro, did you see, Lou Wright? Did you see his cat?
Nah, I don't follow Lou Wright.
Oh, bro. I don't know what's happened, but they've like shaved the body of it and then shaved part of his legs. So it just looks like it's got Ugg boots on.
Oh, bro. I'm looking this up right now.
Bro, you can't be doing that to a cat.
It's probably for an operation, I bet. There's no way they've done that for a laugh.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was he just posted it. I'm like, that's so funny.
Sorry, boys, you're going to have to get the top of my head for a bit because I don't want to be cancelled. John, what have you been up to, mate?
What have I been up to? Energy expenditure.
In the gym, doing some lateral raises.
Yeah. Just honestly, I've just been wrecking myself with this little, like, quote unquote mini cut. The secret cut, if you've seen Jasmine and Jeffrey talk about it.
The
secret prep, that's it.
He's in prep, boys.
I've literally just been ruining myself before I go on holiday. So it's like I've been doing, I think on average this past week is around like 16k steps a day.
What?
There was one day it was 24. I was just like, it was sunny. I was like, I'm just gonna walk all day.
Bro, I average like 5k steps a day.
What?
Mate, I work a job where I'm sat at a desk the whole day.
Oh, that's fair then.
I go for a 20-minute walk at lunch after I've eaten. And then my only other steps to the gym, and then it's fucking time for bed by the time I got back from the gym.
Is there many windows in the office?
Does it have any windows?
Yeah, is there any windows?
Yeah. It's like not
like
I've got one to my left, and that's where my plant is. My girlfriend got me a flower for getting a first in my exams, so I have it with pride. And one of the drivers read the card the other day. The prick. It was a bit personal. I was like, "Why are you doing that, mate?"
Why do you read? How do you know he read the card?
Did it in front of me. He started reading it aloud.
Bro, what? That's mad.
Yeah, I know, man.
Zoinks.
No privacy in like a body shop, man. It's like a garage. They're all fucking. If I speak, I'm in trouble.
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in trouble. All right. Well, John, anything else you want to say about your week then?
No, just ruining myself.
I'm in the deficit. Respect, man. My mini cut starts Monday. That's what I meant to say.
About fucking time.
Yeah, boy. Say goodbye to the cheeks.
You can do this to me when I'm peak gaining phase.
Oh, mate, I don't care. Like I always say to people, like you can make fat jokes. I don't mind because I've made myself fat on purpose, haven't I? So it's only fair. I'll just diet if it really bothers me, which is what I'm going to do.
That is fair.
How
well do you hold body fat? Like when you're heavy, how well does it sit?
Who?
John.
Awful. It's just all around my hips and like the top of my thighs. Bro, it looks like I've almost got like an hourglass figure from like the way I distribute my fat. It's quite embarrassing. Like
just call it an X-frame, mate.
Yeah,
wellness check.
Exactly.
You hold fat incredibly well.
Yeah,
Luke's also not that
I've
fat.
probably got like 15 kilos of body fat on my frame right now, and I don't look that obese, which is quite nice.
I reckon you could push like another 10 kilos, I reckon you could.
Yeah, so I was talking to...
That's an L for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know that speaker's outside, but Luke said it's a fucking robot.
He sounds like a sheep.
I reckon we'll do at least another fit by the window. Hopefully that's a little bit better, the Wi-Fi box. But yeah, I was talking to Matt today, and
super speed
we were sort of saying...
Right, Luke, start again. Your Wi-Fi's terrible, man.
That is actually peak.
I feel
right. You should. Phil,
try.
Wi-Fi should be amended.
I'm going to try one last time. Okay. It's Coventry Wi-Fi, bro. It's just awful.
It should be posh.
Yes. So I was talking to Matt, and he was sort of saying like 2 more training blocks. And I was like, well, that sort of comes towards the end of summer where I'm still going to be home, I'd like to enjoy a bit more flexibility then. So I reckon as long as we can push it till sort of early September time, which will get me probably a little bit above 80 kilo. And then savage pullback, because I don't really like wasting time in a deficit, so to speak. So like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
happy to do
Facts.
almost like not quite as crazy, because obviously I am natty and I would like to retain my tissue and still be able to perform, but
Facts.
rapid fat loss-esque kind of thing. Because
what do you reckon the most you can pull off for a natty is?
I could do a kilo a week.
You could,
Sure.
but what does that equate? No offense to us in our height. Like, what do you
Mate,
reckon I should pull off a week for I'm 6 foot? Because
The
I'm
thing you
going
have to bear in mind though is you've also got a job that's like, whereas say myself or Luke, because our job is much more flexible, we're gonna be able to like dial things in a bit more. That's the big thing as well. Like even if you're natty or not, if your lifestyle is like not the best, it's gonna be hard to like, not that yours is shit, Dan, I'm not saying, but like
Yeah, I
to
reckon mine's quite
anyone,
all right.
yeah. But
I
say
can eat
like,
when I want at work, and
yeah,
I
that's
get
good.
consistent steps. It would just be a pain doing like expenditure in my lifestyle. That would be the thing.
That's
I reckon I
fair.
could still take off like 1.5 kilos a week, maybe at a push.
It's all about just like how much do you think you could lose without not tanking your lifts?
Yeah,
That's really the big question, and it's going to depend on a lot of things as well as like hormonal balance. So
yeah,
you don't know until you know.
yeah.
And
Luke,
it depends how heavy you get as well, mate. If you got really fat, you could probably like dice kilos easily if you wanted to. I could probably rip kilos off quite comfortably right now and not feel it, but we'll see.
yeah, I reckon I'll probably get to the same weight as I was last bulk. I don't really want to push further. I'm like 86, 87 right now. Get to 92, call it a day. Like at most. And Luke, I'll probably cut at the same time as yours. Our like fucking cutting and bulking is in sync. It's been since last year, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's true, to be fair. Yeah, I think you finished your fat loss phase like just before I finished mine.
Like a week before or something, and you started like a week after.
Yeah, mad. Jeez, lined up, bro.
You're in sync.
Proper periodization and that. Yeah, I think you sort of covered everything else that I would have said in terms of going for training session this week with the boys. They've all got upper body. I've got lower with Ben in like 28 degrees. So
Ben's got lower.
Yeah, that's what I just said, bro.
Yeah. You said it after you said you're on your own for lower.
I'm confused. Yeah,
Cut
but
this.
I've got
Cut
lower
this.
in like 28
Cut
degrees.
I'm saying
that's
cut
gonna be...
this.
All right, calm.
Cut this. That's my stone mind. Keep the clip. Whoever gets to the end can see this clip.
Fine.
Oh my days. Yeah.
Right, where do we go from here now?
I'm just aside from that, I've just been revising for exams. Had 4 inquiries this week, which feels pretty mental. Like that many people coming and saying, "Yo, bro, can you help me with this?" So yeah. Before we got started, John and I were just chatting about like lateral raise work and having that in relation to sort of pressing and that sort of stuff. So we could carry on with that chat and just give the listeners a brief rundown on what we were talking about prior. So I was just saying I embraced my inner Jack Archer today, did lateral raises first because 2 geezers were on the other side of the cable stack and I couldn't do clavicular flies.
Evil, mate. How did you find it compared to regular? Still progress everything, yeah?
Well, I was doing single arm, so it was slightly different to how I would normally do it. I normally do both sides at the same time, but I actually preferred it single arm, to be fair. It felt class.
Yeah, I prefer single arm because my delts are kind of shit and I want to make sure that each rep is very high quality. And I feel like it's same with biceps. It's just easier to ensure that quality single arm, even if it takes more time.
I mean, if anything, similar to you though, I think my left side is smaller than my right. So if anything, I get to match my right side with my left, like you implemented with me when we were sort of going through a coaching process, was just sort of, every time I do my lateral raise, which is after a press, just because it's more comfortable for me. But matching your weak or your strong hand to your weak arm can kind of even out how well they progress together, if that makes sense. Obviously not definitively, not to the T, but you can sort of plateau the one whilst progressing the other.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean. I feel like anecdotally with arms and delts, they tend to be the most imbalanced parts of most people's body, particularly arms, because whatever your dominant hand is going to be grabbing a lot of shit for like however many decades you have before you enter the gym. And I think, you know, especially compared to like your torso, how many muscles day to day, like in your torso, are you really actually using versus compared to your arm or your shoulder? And I find like anecdotally with most people, when I bring them on, if there's going to be an imbalance, it's going to be in the delt or the arms. So I think, yeah, there's always something to be said for doing unilateral movements, but especially to even out any potential imbalances. I think for most people, it serves a pretty good place.
Cheers, bro. You just killed that topic quickly.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. Well, no, I didn't actually talk about it before pressing. I just talked about unilateral movements, didn't I?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, Luke, why would someone do them before pressing? And John, why would someone do them after pressing? Seeing as you guys have, I'm staying neutral in this.
I do both.
Yeah, even though I just do them. I guess you're neutral, and I always do them before.
Actually,
for myself. Just to clarify, not every client.
so on my push day, I do them right at the start because the machine that I've got is fairly short and focused anyway. And then sort of going into my other stuff there, I initially just started doing it because it was always taken when the press that I wanted was always taken when I would go in at that time.
Yeah.
So I just started doing it then and then carried on with that. Whereas later on in the upper session, cable stack is usually free. I've done pecs, I've done back, and I'm on the cable stack already. So it sort of makes sense to carry on. And with cables, you've also got the opportunity to manipulate where it's most challenging in the resistance profile. Whereas like most machines, dumbbells, you can't really do that too well. You can lie on an incline bench, but it's a bit of a pain in the arse. And most
100%.
people don't.
So you place it, you've picked your two delt movements. One you can make lengthened, one you can make shortened. So you put the shortened at the start and then you put the lengthened at the end because that makes more sense.
Yeah. Pretty much. Bosh.
There you go. And John, what's your thought process behind your side delts?
So my side delt work is purely anecdotal. I always do it after my pressing, and I don't know, it's never dependent on like the amount of warming up I do, or like, even like how much I take care of my shoulders. There is something orthopedically, if that's the right word, that is just wrong with my delts, and they cannot operate before I do a press. I don't know if it's just from many months of powerlifting and just absolutely ruining my shoulders from pressing so much all the time. But I normally, so I do my lateral raise after my press, just because I feel like in the press I'm able to sort of use my shoulders, warm up the structures, whatever you'd like to call them, and then although then they are still a priority, they do get a lot more volume. But I just feel like doing it after a press, after a press and a row, sorry. So I fully warm up the shoulders and all the musculature around the shoulder, and then I will go for the main movement that will be the lateral raise.
Respect, man. I think the point that both these guys are doing is ultimately they're doing what works for them, what works for their plan, what works for their body, and it's something that they can still progress. The reason that I tend to place them at the start is because I have no issues doing them. They're a bit more of a focus for me. And any muscle that you train first is just going to be easier to progress because you're not having sets before that you need to progress first. So for me, as someone who's able to do it, they're a bit more of a focus. There is a benefit to doing it. If I started to run into issues like John, I would just push them back. Or if like Luke, they weren't a massive focus for me and they didn't fit that order in the session, then I just move them around.
Bosh.
Yeah, that's how you kill a topic. There you go, done.
Fair play, man. Topic down.
I do mine first because cheers, mate. Because they're a weak point.
Yes, boy.
And I think it warms up for pressing well. I just stick to high rep.
Oh, we'll never know what he has to say.
Yeah, and my Wi-Fi got rinsed. Cheers.
Wait. Man's on the negative 3G. Are you there, Dan?
Oh, yes. No, we've lost him. It's all right. We don't care about
I
his
just
side.
see his cheeky little smile.
We
To
don't
be
care
fair,
about his side delts anyway.
yeah, for some people they are going to be a good warm up, but again, you also run into people like John where they just aren't a good warm up, and that's fine. Is he there? Is he going to say his words? No. Okay. We can either edit this out or we can move on to the next topic. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. He's
My
going.
man's gone. I was going to bait him out again, to be honest, but Dan has obviously got a notoriously small waist. He would be very well suited to men's physique. I hope he never hears this because he will kill me. So I just wanted to get everybody's opinions on the men's physique weight cap. How are we feeling about that? Would Dan make the men's physique weight cap?
What are the weight caps? Because this is like sort of fresh news to me. I literally found out like 20 minutes ago.
So it's fairly similar to how they're doing classic, where it's like different heights
Right.
and weights, I believe, but they don't have like fixed numbers yet. I think they're just seeing where everybody is and using that to sort of make it up. But I may be wrong.
That's interesting. I didn't know they hadn't decided yet, but I guess it has to come from somewhere. But does that mean that they're going to deliberately be like, you're too big, we're going to make it lighter the new way? Or like, how would you, surely that means pushing some people out deliberately? I don't know.
Yeah, there are going to be some people that just don't make it, surely, and they're going to have to go.
Absolutely, yeah. There's such a range of weights for men's physique. It's mad. Doesn't make any sense.
It's an L for all their legs, though.
Yeah,
that's true, man. Just
that's the
use
thing, though.
muscle.
Yeah. If you really want to compete in men's physique, having less tissue in your legs will literally serve you better because you can place it into the upper. Just smash it into the lats and side delts like everyone else is doing. That's all they care about. That fucking V taper and nothing else. I feel like for what men's physique is, it's a good idea, but I'm not a biggest fan of what men's physique is, so I'm not the biggest fan of it because I think, like John said, it's just going to mean like shitter legs on stage, and that's not the point of men's physique. But I'm not a fan of that because I'm weird.
No, I back it. I don't rate men's physique.
All right. Although I just want to say I respect the competitors because they get enough shit on social media, man. Like people half their size giving them shit, and it's like, bro, sharp. You're not even a men's physique competitor. Like, why you got to put people down?
Yeah, but
it's not against the guys. I just don't really like the posing. Like, I just wouldn't want to do the posing.
That's a good point too. Sorry, John. What were you going to say? I cut you off.
I can see it like it can sort of be breeding more competition in a way, like you get so and so compete against each other and just I don't know, maybe making it more attractive to sort of wider audiences. But I'm just trying to flush out what their reasoning might be for introducing it. Like, is it to bring more interest into it and create more of a rivalry, or is it just out of spite?
I feel like it definitely would have been out of trying to create the look that they're trying to go for. You know,
you see that all the time in classic anywhere, where you've got guys that fit the weight cap, but they aren't classic.
Yeah, like, but they can't exactly like.
If you go to amateur shows, it's just who is the best bodybuilder half the time.
Yeah, but you can't like. I don't know. Well, it'd be a bit peak. You can't like just turn someone down at classic and be like, you don't have the shape, you don't have the flow. Sorry, buddy, get out. You know, like you have to.
No, but that should be reflected in their placing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, like if you show up just because you have the on paper criteria, but you don't actually look the part, or shows that are or categories that are based around your structure, then you should place shit. But they do for the most part. Am I wrong? Like if you're not classic, you don't place high in classic.
In the pro shows for sure, like, but amateur, it's from what I've seen, it's quite sketchy. Like the shows.
That's true though, but the amateur ones are like it's hard to, because it's a smaller pool of people. I feel like it's gonna be really hard to be like, you're not who we want to push up to the top ranks. You just kind of have to be like, well done, you were best in the show. You get your card, but you're probably not going to go much further. But you can't just be like, we don't think you'll be good enough as a pro to give you a pro card. Sorry, even though they've won. You know, that's just a bit shit. Dan, you like posing. What's your thoughts? You love bodybuilding. What's your thoughts?
I was I heard what you're saying about like
men's physique and weight categories.
I rate it, you know. I don't think men's physique should be as big as it is. Like I just think I think of it more as like an athletic like beach body as it is, and like I don't know, it like you say, it's just more of a mass contest, really.
True.
No, but will that solve the problem? Will height and weight caps solve the problem?
I saw Lewis Jones say that he thinks it's more about having a stricter criteria, like the weight caps are nonsense. He said in his story, and I think that was interesting because it was like the standard of the judging. Like I know some people that judge at a bodybuilding show that are like crap, but they're like judging classic and men's physique. So like, how is it, fair and accurate? So it does just get given to the biggest guy. So I think maybe weight caps are a good thing.
I mean, look at Sean Clarida, for example, from 212. Like, if it was just the open and that was it, like he wouldn't necessarily be on the stage, would he?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just to be real, it creates new opportunities, a whole new venture for people.
That is a really good point. To be fair, some people are going to thrive off those fucking weight caps. That's an excellent point, mate. Like, you take someone like Luke, who is a lighter person. He's a bit of a menace. He is. He'd be a 212 menace. You could also be a men's physique menace. But yeah, there's going to be people out there who are naturally just like look fantastic and don't weigh a lot, just because I don't know, they have like no skeleton or they're quite short or whatever. So yeah, that's an excellent point, mate.
I've completely forgotten what I was going to say.
Classic posing routines.
No. I've remembered it.
Yeah.
But if they want to go back to that like smaller, more like beach body look, like kind of how bikini is almost an entry level category for females.
Yeah.
Whereas like men's physique now, there are some guys which are just stupidly big.
Yeah, it's not entry level anymore.
Even at the amateur level, how do they do that without pushing out a lot of the current competitors? Because they are quote unquote too big.
I don't know if you can. Either different weight categories at different leagues, so amateur versus pro, which I think they do at classic, right? Normally if you go pro in classic, people are like, yeah, I can have another 10 pounds of tissue or whatever. Maybe
I
that
don't really get that either though, because it's like to turn pro, you should have a pro worthy physique. Well, how can you do that if you've got a different weight cap?
That's true. Yeah, that's true, I guess. I don't know. I think the idea is like they're trying to be like, you can't look like a pro at an amateur show, or I don't know, maybe getting people used to the idea of weight caps, but it does seem a little bit, it seems a bit arbitrary, like how they decide that, they're like kind of forcing people to be smaller at a league, and it's like, well, maybe those extra 10 pounds would have benefited them a lot. I don't know. But I think if you're going to restrict to weight caps, by the nature of like restricting things, you're going to be pushing people away. There's just no two ways about it. Maybe that is what they're trying to do, because currently men's physique, there's like a shit ton of pros and there's a shit ton of competitors. Maybe they're trying to shift more people who just can't fit into those weight categories into classic or even into open. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, or 212. But
classic has got a lot of competitors as well. Like I believe there were like 50, 60 guys at the Classic Olympia, something like that.
Is men's,
whereas
even
they were
now?
like just under 30 for open.
Oh yeah, it like drops off way more, but I swear men's has more than classic, or am I wrong? I feel like it does, right? Or more people turn pro?
Not 100% sure.
Because I think, because most people view it as more entry level as you can get, right? So I think, in terms of like how many people go pro, a lot of people go pro in men's physique, and then you have classic, and then going pro and open is pretty flipping hard.
Oh, do you know what? This reminds me of something I saw on Instagram. Do you know how much easier it is to get a pro card in America as well?
I know where you saw that.
I can't remember who I saw it from.
You want to know who you saw that from?
Who was it?
Victor Black.
Oh yeah, you said it in the chat. Yeah, bro. Some of these pro cards are ridiculous. How are they getting a pro card versus like you see like the UK guy and he's just stacked in comparison?
Yeah.
Like it's a joke. So I've seen YouTube videos of people going pro in America. Like,
so fill me and the listeners in on what you're talking about.
What do you mean?
Like, what was the post? What were they talking about? Like, I can imagine that maybe the quality of guy isn't so high, but what else?
Yeah, essentially, it was just like a fucking soft guy with nowhere near as much tissue as this guy that had won it, who was like shredded and everything. Like it was so like just a chubby pro card winner.
He was saying people having a go at him as they always do, and he was having to go back as he always does. He had a
That
client.
doesn't sound like Victor. What are you talking about, bro?
He's a lovely bloke.
Yeah, man.
We're burning bridges already. He showed one of his clients who went pro in Europe. I think it was like Brazil or somewhere, right? And his point was like, here's what they class as a pro-worthy physique for men's open in the EU. And then he pulled up a picture of like, I don't know, someone who'd turned pro recently in the US, and he put them side by side. He was like, these two are pro-worthy physiques, making the argument they should look the same. But obviously being a pro just means best at that show at that time. Now, whether it's anecdotal or not, he seems to think that going pro in America is harder than in Europe. If you compare numbers, probably, because there's more people in Europe. I'm not sure if that is always true. There's always going to be like someone who just turns up and looks shit, but they still win, right? But yeah, Luke, what are your thoughts? Do you know much about kind of like regional differences, and what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that at a glance that is accurate?
You're like, what's the word there? You're cherry picking to the highest level there. Like out of all the pros that there are, here's one versus another. Like he may have found the only. So he's saying it's easier to go pro in America. Yeah,
that was his argument. Yeah. I think because he said there's less competitors, so it is less competitive. So statistically, maybe, I'm not sure. Statistically, you're less likely to encounter a genetic freak and get stomped on. So in America, out of less people, say if, 1 in 1,000 go pro and there's only 2,000, whereas there's 20,000 or whatever, statistically.
Yeah, but historically, the European scene has almost been shat on by the American guys, thinking like, oh, winning a European pro show isn't the same as winning an American pro show because it's like all the shit competitors over there. Like he might have found the only American pro that happened to just be incredibly lucky and turn up at that show and be the best out of a bad bunch.
Yeah, exactly. It's always on the day. But I don't like the idea of comparing shows. Like, I think that's a really slippery slope that like, oh, congrats on your pro card, but you won an easy pro show. Like, where are we going to draw the line with this? Like when people compare Olympias, they're like, oh, whoever won an easy Olympia. It's like, yes and no, they still won an Olympia, but like, I don't know. I can see where people are coming from, but I think it's a slippery slope. And imagine hearing that as a person, as a bodybuilder, like I won the Olympia, and everyone's like, well, because you didn't go up against Phil or Ronnie or Jay or whatever, you just lucked out. And it's like,
yeah, it's a little bit mad. A little bit mad.
Yes, sir.
What's everybody's thoughts on judging posing routines in
Dan, come on, surely
they should be judged the same way you have like criteria for men's physique and classic. Like to me and a lot of people, classic is the posing as well. Like a good routine, looking good in your poses, like having that classic flow. I think it's part of it, so it should be judged, but there's no way that will ever pass judgment, I don't think.
Should it be an open and 212?
No.
Okay.
Why not? You could do it, but it would be different criteria. It wouldn't be like that flow. It'd just be like looking massive, like and scary on stage sort of vibe. But I don't think there's as much call for that as the classic one. But like they have weight caps in classic and men's physique, say. So why can't you like change different parts of like the criteria? Why can't you judge a posing routine just in one fed?
I believe they're doing it in PCA now, aren't they?
I'm not sure.
For what, classic and men's physique, or just in general?
They're judging posing routines, I think.
Well, across the board,
it goes into part of the score. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty. I know it's I know it. One fed has started doing it. I think it's PCA.
If it's PCA, I need to brush up. Jesus.
Yeah, bro. How many days have you got left now?
I've lost my counter. My phone messed up, but 2025 September.
What if they change the date though?
Then I won't compete. I don't know. It's roughly September. I won't know like my actual show date till about a year out. So that's when I'll have like a definitive date. But I eyeballed it as 2025 is the year I'm going to compete. There's normally a show in the Midlands in Birmingham in like September-ish time. So that's the
Same,
Midlands.
I come and do it with you.
It's probably where I'm going. Yeah, bro, jump in. Jump
See, I
in,
do
bro.
with the enhanced boys.
Jump in. To be fair, a few natties do it.
Yeah, bro, I'm not in that caliber of natty. That's not happening.
If you embarrass me on stage on PCA, I think I would just quit and just coach. I'd pull a Cal Ray streak. The one show wonder. I'd be out there.
I want to compete with Tom at some point just because I think the height difference would be funny.
That is mad. You both need to do.
Bro, imagine that.
Do 212
so
with
good.
Tom. He just doesn't fit.
Yeah, man. Literally, I mean, that topic died pretty quickly, to be fair.
Did you want to go through some of those questions?
Yeah. What is everybody's thoughts on muscle activation? Does it have a place? What is
What
it?
do you mean by that?
Just like activating your muscles before you go and do some work and shit. I don't know. That's what the question was, bro.
As in, like, you know, the machines that people get hooked up to and it like stimulates the muscle, or are we just talking?
No,
like,
I was thinking more like doing an exercise to like activate the muscle and warm up prior to doing some of your like more important shit, I guess.
I've got some pretty definitive thoughts on this. So if you
Like
guys
I'm
want to
doing
go
this
through
exercise to activate my glutes before I go and squat or some shit like that.
I don't know.
I love John's face right now.
Yeah, John, mate, do you want to go? If Dan's taking the, I don't know, that's okay.
The first thing that comes to mind is that there's no on-off switch with a muscle. Like, what do you mean activate? Like, okay, cool. What you mean by that is push a little bit of blood flow in there, sort of feel it, really connect with the muscle, squeeze. That's what you're looking after. It's less of a case of activating, turning on, whatever. It's a case of making an electrical signal from your brain sent to your muscle. That electrical signal innervates that muscle and more blood flow is then going to the muscle, and then you've got some sense of feeling depending on the muscle.
Yeah.
You all just got science.
I think the thing is, right, it's pretty pointless. If you're moving your body correctly, something has to happen. If you are curling that arm, that elbow is bending against resistance, there is a bicep that is doing that. There is no two ways around it. If you move correctly, correct muscles will be working, even if you don't feel it. Should you be concerned about feeling it? I'd argue no, not all the time. However, if you find that like connecting with a muscle helps you stay in a better spot, if feeling your glutes on a squat helps you stay upright, helps your low back from stopping rounding, and helps you stay injury free, then do it. But just know that just because you don't connect with them doesn't mean that they're not extending your hips at the top. Something has to be doing that. And in that case, it's going to be your glutes. So you don't need it. The only benefit really is just sensation. Maybe that helps you have tighter form. But beyond that, there's no real benefit. Let's be real. As long as as I always say to people, if you're moving the correct way, if you're genuinely moving the correct way, there are no two ways around it. Something has to be moving that. And if you're moving the correct way, it's going to be the muscle that you want to target.
Change your terminology.
Something or somewhere where I think it could be applied usefully is for like people who never feel that muscle, or somebody who's not got that much experience training, like going in the gym and thinking like, oh, I've never experienced this before. Like this muscle is really feeling something. Can be good for people, like in terms of knowing that, oh, I've got a good workout in and I've probably stimulated this thing. But as Jack is saying there, like if you're performing the exercise well, I would be seriously fucking concerned if you're not getting like good pumps and that sort of thing and feeding that tissue.
Yeah, normally there's a reason that you're not feeling something. It's because you're not moving the right way. But like Luke said, the pump still has a benefit, and it's beyond like, say if you're going to do like the glute example, if you're programming someone a glute focused block and it's something they don't normally feel, maybe they just feel their hamstrings when they do a glute exercise, maybe giving them a glute pump before doing some glute work or making them feel their glutes more helps them dial into how to use them, how to target them.
I think that's a poor example, because I wouldn't want to be giving somebody a glute focused block if they couldn't like consciously connect and contract with them.
Yeah, that's
There's
good
some
point.
other shit that needs to be worked on there.
Yeah,
first.
true.
But on that topic, a useful thing as well is like, if you don't connect with a muscle very well, like some shortened focused work tends to give you that sort of sensation a little bit more than like lengthened focused stuff. Like if you're to get into this sort of position here, it's much easier to contract your pec than if you're like all the way out here and sort of feel what's going on.
So to summarize, for most people, don't worry about it, just move correctly. If you enjoy it, it helps you feel good, or it helps you stay injury free and keep your form tight, then go for it. Or if you're just learning to connect with muscles, then it's a good skill to have. But for the most part, just moving correctly is fine. Like Luke said, if you're moving in the right way, you should be feeling it if you're performing exercises correctly. And yeah, it sounded like I was going to say more, but I'm not going to say any more.
Anything to add, Dan?
No, I'm out of my depth for that question.
Nah, bro, you know that. Come on.
Yeah, I think you covered it. If you can't feel your muscles, maybe it's a good idea. Other than that, like, yeah, if you've got good form, you should be sound.
Yeah.
What's everybody's thoughts on tracking calories like daily versus weekly? So saying like, I'm having 2,500, I'm not picking that number because I can't do the maths. I'm having 2,000 calories a day versus I'm having 14,000 calories this week.
Daily clears. Mate, weekly so bad. You could literally like binge and purge the whole week. You could go 1K, 3K, 1K, 3K because you just can't control your diet.
That's true. That's a good point. That is a good point.
And you would make significantly less progress than if you had a daily target. If you're tracking it weekly, you're logging the food anyway. So why don't you just log the food and stop at 2,000 and then log the food and stop at 2,000 again? You know, it's not that hard. You got to be tracking it anyway. Chances are, if you're doing weekly tracking, you're probably not actually tracking the food. You're going, per 40 grams slice of bread, and the slice of bread is like 60 grams or something, like it's going to be like really loose tracking, like snacking. So you're not going to get fucking good results anyway.
Yeah, and the further away you try and like recall that information, like, Jack, what did you have to eat at 11 o'clock 3 days ago? Fuck knows. No idea.
Meal 4.
Yeah, fair.
Unless you're on a meal plan, like you're not going to know that shit.
No, that is a good point. Like most
the
people,
further away you try and remember something, like that's why I always ask clients to fill in their tracker on a daily basis. One, because it doesn't become a job that takes half an hour that they avoid at the end of the week. And two, because what they're putting in is going to be way more accurate. Like you can't remember how you felt 5 days ago when you were training, like if it was a good session or if it was a bad session, unless you're on the extremes there. And yeah, as Dan said, like if you're saying I have this many calories this week, you can fuck yourself up royally. Like, oh, I'm going to have 6,000 calories on Sunday and then have 1,000 calories the rest of the week. Wait.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It'd be just over 1,000.
If you track your calories weekly, it must be such a ball ache trying to figure out if you do the non-training day calories. How the fuck do you figure that shit out?
Adding that up really fucking annoyingly.
Yeah.
But like anything, the extremes are not going to be too good. Whereas like if we're working with, say, a weekly average and you've got a 200, 400 calorie disparity between your rest days and your training days, you've still got a daily calorie target. It's just different on a couple of those different days. But I definitely wouldn't get into the position of giving somebody a target for the whole week, because I think that could be a recipe for disaster. Like, especially if you've got somebody who's quite new to calorie tracking, the more structure you can give them, the better. Like just giving numbers for the day isn't that helpful, because people are like, oh, how many meals should I be having? How much protein should I have in each of them? And then you get into the situation where you're having like 150 grams of protein in one of your meals, and then like you're not having anything else throughout the day. Jack's laughing because that was his chicken shakes.
In a way, yeah. Yeah, I think everyone's touched on a good point. It's going to come down to you and how responsible you are. And I guess the two questions I'd say, if you're thinking about weekly versus daily is, what is your intention with it? Like, why are you leaning more towards weekly, for example? Is it because you want that 6,000 calorie day? And then also, you know, how do you view food? Would you realistically be able to keep yourself, you know, in a good spot? For example, if I am bulking and I've got a certain like calorie target, if I undereat one day, I'm certainly going to try and eat that back the next day. Whereas if I'm dieting, I probably wouldn't deliberately go over and then undershoot the next day. Whereas if it's, say, pushing up, that seems to work with me. But again, or you know, if you're going to bank calories, that also works. But again, you can get into bad habits of doing too much of that. So as long as it adds to your life and your flexibility, go for it. But if it's going to limit you and play with your mindset, it's not worth it. It's, yeah, depends how you approach it. Like Luke said, the true balance lies somewhere in the middle, not the extremes.
It's weird that.
Yeah, man.
This one is just something I heard on a podcast and thought would be interesting to discuss. It's not necessarily related to fitness, but it could be something you didn't believe this time last year, but you do now.
Oh, Jesus, that's philosophical.
Didn't believe.
Yeah.
Didn't believe. Oh, God.
Okay, to give you an example, like this one is related
Yeah.
to fitness. But this time last year, I probably didn't consider enjoyment as an important factor within training as I currently do now.
Mad.
So like what the person enjoys, and then as an extension of that, it would also be like making sure that it's realistic for them as well. Like we can get what's going to be great on paper, but if it's not realistic, it's not going to work out too well. Everybody's doing like wisdom faces.
I can think about one thing, but it's a reach.
Go on then.
It's like,
yours is probably going to be like technique matters or some shit.
nah. I was oblivious then. It wasn't that I had the opposing thought. But it's like, didn't believe you could be happy in a relationship, man. I've had some bad relationships, and I wasn't expecting it in my life, and it happened. But that's the only thing that comes to my head. So
That's sweet, man. That's really wholesome. I like that.
Nah, man, it's a healthy relationship. They're quite rare these days, I'd say.
Yeah, to be fair, so this time last year was just before I met Miriam, and I was sort of thinking like, am I going to meet anyone that's like not a cunt? And it turns out she wasn't, so that's good.
Oh, decent. Nice.
Yeah, man.
We're just the cunts in your life now.
Yeah, to be fair. John's all right.
Makes me a better
John's
person, you know. Healthy relationship makes you a better person.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Like, it's actually made me a better person, and like I've grown in it, you know. Like I'm happy.
Wow.
Yeah. John, anything?
I don't even know, to be honest. Yeah, I couldn't really hit you anything other than like, you don't need to like find passion in your life, but like that was a very dark time last summer. We shan't get into that.
Damn.
But yeah,
Enough, man.
edit that out.
Jack, what you reckon?
I don't know. I guess maybe a year ago, I had, and I still have a lot of self-doubt, but I think a year ago I thought it was a bit more true than it was. Whereas now I'm like, okay, maybe I can actually do the things that I put my mind to, like in business and in training. Yeah, I think that's the main one. Like I've kind of proven myself wrong, my self-doubt wrong a little bit.
yeah, I'm going to misquote this terribly, but I believe it's Alex Hormozy that says that the way you overcome self-doubt is by building an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. So you look at Jack's social media page and what do you see? You see clients that have got results. Like that's the same thing that I'm trying to put out. So that's proof to not only other people, but also to us. Like if I'm having a bad day and thinking like, should I like even still be fucking doing this? I've got a folder on my phone with all the client related stuff.
Yeah.
So I go through that. I'm like, oh yeah, he's like completely changed his life. Oh, he looks fucking sick, and that sort of stuff there. That's proof to us that we know what we're doing, and that's always nice to see.
I feel like whenever me and Luke get testimonials or transformations, we're not even sharing it as marketing. We're just like reminding ourselves, like, look, you can fucking do it. You're not a fucking outlier or whatever.
Legit.
Yeah, man.
I actually quite rate
Self-doubt.
the philosophical questions at the end of the podcast.
I feel like self-doubt is such a killer in training, and just kind of anything where you're just kind of on your own, right? Because bodybuilding is not like a team sport, training is not a team sport. You're just kind of on your own, so it's all down to you. So it's so easy to like get in your own head and be like, you don't think you can do it because you're the only one who's got to do it. So it's rewarding as fuck when you shut that up a little bit. It's still there though, slowly. And on that note, I need to dip because my parents are yelling at me to come and enjoy dinner with them. So I'm going to go and do that, boys. Flexibility.
Yeah, I need to dip as well, to be fair.
Right. Thanks for the
That is all good, man. Enjoy your last off plan before the savage fat loss phase.
Super shred. I'm excited. Anyway, see you, boys.
Sick one. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Have a lovely evening, boys, and see you later.
Adios.